Hello, and welcome to this special edition of We the People Convention News and Opinion podcast. My name is Tom Zawistowski, and I'm doing today's podcast. It is on Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, because I want to talk to you about the ad that we ran in the Washington Times that you all got to read yesterday that has made such a huge splash in the country. We have had literally 500,000 people come to our website to read this. I've been getting messages and notes from all over the country to comment on this, and we were really helped after the ad was printed in the Washington Times as a full-page ad. We were helped when Lynn Wood, the attorney who's been helping President Trump in Georgia and has really represented a lot of the people like the Covington kids and the young man that's been charged in Wisconsin for shooting some people when he was actually defending himself. And so Lynn Wood tweeted this out, and it just blew up our system. We have had tens of thousands of people signed the petition on the WeThePeopleConvention.org website. And then late last night, General Mike Flynn also tweeted out about our press release and said, "Freedom never kneels except to God." And we thank General Flynn for his support of our action. I've obviously had a lot of emails, phone calls, and text messages from all over the world about our ad. And I want to talk about some of the things that people are missing and put it in better perspective for you. What was important about our ad is that we are proposing what I think is the very best solution to the crisis our country is in. And in our ad, we compared the extraordinary executive orders that President Lincoln used in the Civil War to keep the Union together and, in fact, save our nation. We would have been two nations. There would have been no United States of America if the South had won and if President Lincoln had not done the things that he had done, which were very rough things. I mean, I spell it out in the ad. We talk about the fact that he suspended habeas corpus, that he arrested newspaper editors and owners and because they were not supporting the war. He arrested people in Maryland for being Southern sympathizers and did not give them the right of habeas corpus, did not give them the right to defend themselves. For years, they were locked up in prison. He arrested an Ohio congressman for speaking out against him. And I drew that comparison about Lincoln because President Obama and the left say he's the best president ever. Well, okay, so if he was able to take these extraordinary actions to save the Union, we basically are making the case that we are indeed in as dire straits here in the United States with an imminent civil war about to happen. And, I talk about in the ad about Antifa and Black Lives Matter, in our cities, literally conducting, military operations, attacking federal buildings, attacking policemen, but just attacking innocent Americans who are eating in restaurants, punching people in the back of the head in cowardly, attacks to intimidate people who question their anti-American agenda. And then I talked about how the democratic socialists in those cities are letting it happen, and there's no rule of law. And now we have, people in the federal government, these democratic, self-stated Democrats, socialists, who now want to destroy the Constitution after 100 years of trying, right? This is what civil war is. They're trying to destroy our country. They want to pack the court, so that the court can make law from the bench and get rid of the legislature. They want to get rid of the filibuster. They want to get rid of states' rights by getting rid of the electoral college so that it's a quote unquote a majority vote, which just means that most of the people in this country would have no voice. California and New York would decide everything. That's not what we have. We have a representative republic, and now the left has gone so far as to try to steal this presidential election to get the ultimate power they need to impose socialism on us and basically end the country as we know it. So our answer was to ask President Trump to use the extraordinary powers of the presidency, which have been done, by the way, 68 times. Martial law has been declared 68 times by presidents in our history. And what we're suggesting that President Trump do is something that's very, very reasonable. And yet people are calling me and saying, "You're nuts, declaring martial law. You're crazy." See, but what I'm talking about here and what we put in our ad is we're asking the president to temporarily impose martial law for the sole purpose of having the military conduct a fair election. That's all we're asking. So there's not tanks in the streets, and we're not saying use the military to install Donald Trump as president. We say specifically that we want a fair election, and the president has to agree with whatever that vote comes out with. So this is not any guarantee for the president that he's going to be made the president. This is where Donald Trump shows real leadership. If he will do this, if he will declare martial law for the sole purpose of having the military conduct a new election. And the reason for that is because the military is the last institution left that we can trust in this country. We can't trust the political class or the courts. They've already demonstrated they're not living within the law. So we're asking the president to do this. And he will be acting like Lincoln to preserve the Union, to prevent civil war, and like Washington, who walked away after the Revolutionary War when they wanted to make him king and said, no, I'm done. I respect the fact that we're going to have a government that's elected by the people. And Donald Trump is basically, we're saying, have this martial law imposed so that we can have a fair election without political party bosses and all the lawsuits intended to make fraud legal and to just ruin the election. Have the military do it in a way we can all agree on. What is that way? Paper ballots, right? Vote in person. Have to have a photo ID, have to be registered. Both parties watch each vote. It's hand counted, no computers, okay? It's safe. You're 6 feet apart. You can wear a mask, just like we did in Ohio. It's safe. And at the end of the day, we know who won. And whoever wins will be the legitimate president of the United States. And then we can build from there and try to restore trust in our institutions. This is compared to what is imminent, compared to the civil war that we think is imminent, doing this is benign. It's not irrational. It's constitutional. People are calling me and saying, this is, you're going outside the Constitution. Martial law is in the Constitution. It's allowed. The president is allowed to declare martial law. They've done it 68 times. You know what's not within the Constitution? Yeah, how about a criminal conspiracy to rig a federal election? That's not in the Constitution. That's extra constitutional, right? How about destroying machines, wiping machines, shredding ballots, destroying evidence? Yeah, that's not in the Constitution either. Okay? So what we're asking is reasonable. We're asking President Trump to save the republic, because if he doesn't take this action, we the people are going to have to take this action in a way that no one wants us to do. And again, I don't like this business of we're going through the courts and the 12th Amendment. Now, I say in the release that the president should, if the courts and the legislators will not follow the Constitution, he should immediately declare martial law and hold a free and fair election under the supervision of the media. That's what I'm saying. But I'm telling you, all this stuff going through the courts is nonsense. It's not going to prove anything. It's just opinions. And it could go either way. I feel like Rudy Giuliani and these guys are standing before King George, begging them to just, throw us a bone. Okay, those votes can be thrown out. Those can't. It's no way to hold an election. And I say in the ad that we ran, let me read this quote. I think it's a very important quote. It says, "We the people must not and will not cede our exclusive constitutional right to elect our representatives to judges, lawyers, courts, governors, secretaries of state, Congress, corrupt election officials, and local politicians, the corrupt media, or leftist threats of violence. We will not cede our right to elect our representatives to those people. It is our exclusive right to decide our representatives and not theirs. Therefore, we the people demand a new and fair national vote, a vote that all Americans can trust and live by, regardless of the winner." That's what we say. That's what we must have. Because in a representative republic, folks, if we can't vote for our representatives, you don't have a country. How many of you listening to this podcast will ever vote again after this fiasco if we let this cheating and fraud go on? And for those of you who say there's no fraud, there's no cheating, Yeah, all you have to do is go to our website, to the page that says, see the evidence of voter fraud from all over the United States on this page. Every day we update it with the new videos and new stories documenting fraud. And if you just watch those hearings in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, or Wisconsin, or Michigan, where the people testified, where our fellow citizens swore on an affidavit that what they were saying is true, any American would be embarrassed by what they were saying. That's not an election. That's a theft. That's bullying. That's criminal activity, despite what AG Barr just said. And you can't get this all figured out in the courts. The only way forward is through a national revote. And the best way to do that is to declare martial law to suspend the Constitution temporarily so we don't have all these deadlines hanging over us. And then you say the military's got to put this together. They can do it in a couple of weeks. I mean, folks, what kind of a vote is it going to be? In most places, you'll have two questions: who's your presidential choice? Who's your congressional choice? In some places, there might be a Senate choice. In some places, you might have two congressmen. But it's going to be like a 4-question vote. You can do that really fast. You can do that on paper ballots, and we want them to do that. Now, I've been getting letters from all over the world. People just thrilled that I'm suggesting that the president take this action. And I want to read this letter to you. My name is Mario Moreira. I am Brazilian, and I read the statement by you translated into Portuguese, originally published in English in the Washington Times newspaper. I want to express my admiration and support for your initiative in defending the Republican ideals of this great nation, which is the United States of America, which I admire and have always admired since my youth. Whenever someone on the left tries in some way to denigrate the image of the USA, I tell them that it is thanks to the efforts of this great country that everyone is not speaking German today. A way of saying that were it not for the courageous and brave efforts of the American army, the world would have been under the yoke of Nazism for a long time. I hope that you really commit yourself to the defense of the Republican ideals of the USA, even if, dramatically, the defenders of these ideals have to defend them by force, by weapons, by civil war if necessary. I have been following the recent events when the maddening mob simulated by the communist socialists of the Democratic Party, anti-patriots, big tech and the press are destroying public and private assets, criminally attacking good people, whether young or old, just for being white or Republican or against their ideas, for not agreeing with their insane ideology. If I could, I would be there beside you and the good Americans to fight for this good and noble cause. Mario Moreira. My fellow patriots, you're trying to tell me that when our fathers and forefathers, the great American soldiers who went and died in Europe to defeat Nazism, who died in the Pacific defeating the Imperial Japanese, who fought in Korea and in Vietnam, you're telling me that us declaring temporary martial law to have the military who swore an oath to defend and protect the Constitution, to have them put on a fair election is extreme, is ridiculous, is out of the question when we've had to have hundreds of thousands of our fathers and forefathers and grandfathers die in the field of battle to defend liberty, and we won't declare martial law to have a fair vote? And I'm the extremist when martial law has been used 68 times, when they swore an oath in the military to defend the Constitution, and what's more important than defending the vote, the right to vote? That's extreme? I don't think so. I think it's the right answer. You know why? Because it's the only objective answer. Because you hold this vote, and it's that simple. Paper ballots, everybody votes in person, voter ID, we're witnessing it. The military is there to make sure no thugs are there to bully and intimidate people. We're going to know who wins or loses. We need to know who wins or loses. That's objective. What's happening in these courts is subjective. Do they believe it or not? There's people talking about there's no evidence when you and I think there's so much evidence it's unbelievable. We must do this. I need you to help get this done. I'll speak directly to you, President Trump. I'm speaking to you. This isn't about you. This is about us. This is about our republic. But more importantly, like this letter, it's about the world. I'm watching the Japanese on One American News being interviewed and how frightened they are that if President Trump doesn't win, that the Chinese are going to destroy Japan. We're talking about freedom around the world, President Trump. And as I said in our ad, you are required. You swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, and you have the power to do it. And we're asking you to do it because it's the right thing to do. And it doesn't matter what the left says. It doesn't matter what the rhino Republicans say. It doesn't matter what the media says. None of that matters, President Trump. What matters is that you do your duty. What matters is that you defend our vote and our republic, and then we'll see if you are elected president or not. That's what we're saying. Declare martial law temporarily for the sole purpose of having the military oversee a truly free and fair election. I'm asking all of you watching this video to call the White House at 202-456-1111, 202-456-1111, or go to whitehouse.gov/contacts, whitehouse.gov/contacts. You can message the president. Say, I want a free revote, a free and fair revote of the federal election in all states, and I want the military to oversee it. And I want you to write and call your congressman and demand the same thing. Because I want to know what the real vote count is in our country. I want to know how big the left is and how big the right is. And this is the objective way to find that out. Then there'll be no question. So if you still think this is wrong and radical, I'd like to hear from you. Go to wethepeopleconvention.org. You can see our phone number, our email. Let us know. But I think we have proposed the right solution because the left is going to go nuts if the courts overturn this. We're going to go nuts if they don't overturn it. You got to solve that problem. And the answer is to have a fair election. And that's what we're proposing. And I hope you'll go to wethepeopleconvention.org and read the ad again. If you haven't done so, you can click on the ad at wethepeopleconvention.org, read the press release, click on the image of the ad. You can download your own PDF. Read it, understand it, share it, talk to your fellow citizens, and get them to join us. Okay? I appreciate you joining me today. I appreciate you listening to my explanation of what we're trying to do. And I appreciate you caring enough about our country to educate yourself and to then take action to protect and defend our liberty, our freedom, and our individual prosperity. You've been listening to the We the People Convention News and Opinion podcast. My name again is Tom Zawistowski.